Okay, so just so you understand, my next trip upcoming in business class on ANA airline, I will be flying on the 777 in the room, they call it. So that's basically what the seat layout is going to look like. And of course, I'll be making full videos and 4K video reviews of everything. So I'll break down my trip into a video review of the flight, which is supposed to take 13 hours to go from JFK to Haneda. And then from Haneda to Jakarta, I'll be stopping in the business class lounge and then have another layover there until I go to Bali. Now, once we actually land in Bali, I'll be basically chilling on the beach, just like I've always talked about, buko juice in one hand, some chick half my age, some foreign chick half my age in the other hand. And basically, that's it. That's all I intend to do the whole time, basically. That's what it's like to be a passport bro business class. Bali is in Indonesia, for those of you who don't know. Now, I've already been down to Southeast Asia a lot. I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Thailand and this, that, and other. Obviously, I've, made a video. I stayed in South Korea. I lived in China. I stayed in Japan. So basically, this time I'm going to Bali. I'm going to have some good times there. And then right after that, I'm headed to Singapore. So in Singapore, I'm just going to see the major sites. As you can see, like some of the stuff that they probably already got lots and lots of video on. And it's going to be just a good old time. We're going to have a really good time. So basically, if you're wondering how much does this all cost, yeah, it comes out to about $10,000 that's going to be spent for just that amount of time in these two countries and the flight. The flight actually eats up the majority of your costs. The countries themselves are relatively cheap. The hotel stays are relatively cheap with the exception of Singapore. That one's a little bit more expensive, but it's not too bad. Most of the hotels in these places, whether it's Dubai or Southeast Asia, they're relatively cheap. It's really flying business class that costs you about 80% of the cost of the trip. So I'm going to have a really good time. I'm going to get lots and lots of video, and I'm going to put plenty of stamps in my passport book. But let me tell you what I'm not going to do. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to disrespect any of the laws of the countries that I'm in. What I'm not going to do is pick any fights with any of the residents, especially those who run businesses. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to raise my voice and shout at anyone, especially police officers, especially TSA or transport security officers, especially people who run businesses. When I go to another country, now keep in mind, I've been to countries that people have like the highest of stereotypes about. I stayed as a student in communist China, whatever you want to call it, for over 2 years. I've been to Japan. I've been to South Korea. I've been to Philippines. I've been to Thailand. I've been a couple other places. I've been to Dubai. Unlike some of these news stories you hear about these modern women from America going to Dubai, I went to Dubai. I went to the Burj Khalifa. I went to the Burj Al Arab. I went all up and down FSB, and I had a great time and didn't have a single problem, not one. When I go to these other countries, I know to be on my best behavior, which is pretty easy for me. But I also know that any of that ratchet ghetto nonsense that I might have had been, how should I say, polluted with or infected by while I was here in America, I know to leave that all here. You see, America itself, not to rant too much, America itself is a toxic environment. And when I say it's a toxic environment, what I'm saying is that America is basically exactly that. America is a toxic environment. And as a toxic environment, you have a level of toxicity that follows you like a stink. It smells like a bad fart when you go overseas. And it takes a little while to get it off you, which is why I really don't mind the layovers. Because, see, I'm going to be in their business class lounge drinking up all their alcohol. And I'll probably be napping depending upon whether or not I have a jet lag. But the bottom line is, I know how to behave. And a lot of people just don't seem to know how to behave. So, rather than me ranting, let's read this story. December 20th, 2023. You probably haven't heard this story before, but if you're in my community chat, you might have seen me post it already. 2 black women arrested in Bali over maltreatment of nail salon worker. 2 black women are now facing up to 2 years in prison in Bali, Indonesia, following their arrest for allegedly attacking nail salon staff. Now, we've never seen or heard of anything like that before here in America, have we? We haven't seen any videos of fights breaking out in nail salons. We haven't seen any of that. That doesn't happen, right? Surely that doesn't happen. So anyway, Daily Mail reports that 2 black women, 1 British and 1 American, really, 1 British. You got to be careful about these Brits, because one thing I know about these Brits is a lot of them they're worse than American women. Like, they may have that accent, but other than that, they get really feisty. Very, very feisty. But anyway, are facing up to 2 years in prison in Bali, Indonesia, following their arrest for allegedly attacking nail salon staff on December 14th over a payment dispute. The tourists, identified as Andrea CW from London and Chansler A. God damn, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? It keeps on trying to force me into these stupid things, these ads. So anyway, it says, what is this? The altercation captured on CCTV depicts Chansler seemingly grabbing a salon clerk by the collar and pulling her over a counter, while Andrea vehemently insists that they are attempting to pay for the service. Now, usually when you're paying for a service, you usually don't have your hands around somebody's collar and you're grabbing them and pulling them over a counter. That's how I've always paid for stuff. Usually I reach over the counter and I put my Apple Watch next to the scanner, and usually that's how I pay for stuff. Usually I don't grab the clerk normally. But anyway, let me tell you something. I am trying to be reasonable. I asked you several times to let me outside. I ran outside to get money. You don't know what I'm going outside for. Why were you trying to hold me hostage? The situation escalated as the staff accused the tourists of blackmail, claiming they threatened to leave a negative review if asked to pay, and subjected the salon employees to verbal abuse. Let me reread that, because I think the mistake that I made was I read it, but I didn't read it in a ratchet American voice. Let me tell you something. I'm trying to be reasonable. I asked you several times to let me outside. I ran outside to get money. You don't know what I'm going outside for. Why were you trying to hold me hostage? You trying to hold me hostage? Okay, I think that sounds a little bit better. Okay, let's keep going. The manager of Ombre Nail Studio condemned the tourist actions, explaining, they blackmailed us. That if we kept asking them to pay, they would leave a bad review, and they started to verbally abuse our staff. He added that tourists attempted to take money from the cashier, causing physical and mental harm to... Oh, come on, really? It's like everybody's always trying to sue somebody. The 2 black women were apprehended by police at Nurgur... It's funny, every time I see this word, because I've said this airport a couple of times, I don't know why, but my mind always calls it Raj Al Ghul, like from Batman, but I think it's Nurgurai. I don't know. International airport in Bali on December 16th, just as they were attempting to board a plane to Thailand. Immigration officials flagged the suspects due to their suspicious appearance. Gee, I wonder what that means. What, they had BBLs, so they thought they were carrying drugs or something? Or was it the fake hair or the raptor claws that they could use to injure a pilot? I wonder. What does that mean? Oh, wait, it's going to tell me. It says they were wearing hats and masks and later confirmed their identities through CCTV footage. Badung Police Chief Kampol 1, I guess, made Pramasetia, is this a name? Okay, revealed that the pair had originally planned to stay in Indonesia until December 22nd, but decided to leave earlier following the salon incident. The tourists now face charges under the Indonesian Penal Code for maltreatment, which could result in a maximum imprisonment of 2 years and 8 months for forcing others to do something, carrying a maximum prison sentence of 1 year. This incident has sparked outrage and drawn attention to the consequences of disrespectful behavior and entitlement while traveling abroad, especially in communities that rely on tourism. The legal proceedings will shed light on the broader issue of responsible tourism and the need for travelers to respect local customs and businesses. And that's the end of the story. So, I could easily rant on this for a really long time, but I think you get the picture. And you know what? How many times have we seen this? First of all, you had Brittany Griner go over to Russia carrying whatever amount of a substance that you knew was not supposed to be taken to Russia. Now, me personally, I have to wonder, first of all, why wasn't the fact that she had this stuff in the first place picked up in the American airport? And why wasn't she disallowed from taking this stuff when she left America? Because as far as I'm concerned, this stuff never should have made it past airport security. That's number one. Number two, I honestly don't really think over that amount of the stuff that she should have been detained, but obviously it was political because right at that time, Russia invaded Ukraine based on America's aggression in NATO against their borders. So, yeah, it was political. I understand that. Okay, so that one was an isolated incident. But then right after that, we had other issues with American women going over to specifically Dubai and specifically getting in trouble for, how should I say, disrespecting the authorities. I don't understand what it's going to take for American women in general to understand that these other countries aren't going to tolerate you at all. Now, one thing I'd like to point out, the men in general don't have this problem. First of all, American men know better. They understand consequences. They understand that, number one, you can't bring weapons and you can't bring drugs into these other countries. So if you try to do that, chances are you're going to get locked up for a very long time. I think it took maybe Otto Warmbier for some of them to understand that, yeah, these countries ain't playing with you, especially countries who America's at hostilities with, which nowadays is basically everybody. So when we go abroad, and especially, and I will say this because a lot of people, they like these people who don't travel, like oh yeah, well, if you're black, you got to be careful when you go overseas. It's dangerous. Let me tell you something. And I think I speak for most black passport bros when I say this. You never experience safety and peace of mind as a black male until you go overseas. You don't experience safety and peace of mind as a black male until you go overseas. And I've ranted about this numerous times. When I was in China, I never had to worry about somebody running up on me at an ATM or following me back to my apartment and trying to rob me. I never had to worry about that. You want to know why? And I've said this 100 times. Because the Chinese government, if they catch somebody who was robbing me or did something to me in that country, if the Chinese government, the CCP, if they caught somebody, you know what they do? They give you a 2-hour trial. You're found guilty. Then they take you out into a field and they put a bullet in the back of your head. Then they send your family the bill for the bullet. Yeah, that's how they do it. So I never had to worry about like getting robbed. Like, what was it, Nipsey Hussle? And they robbed him for no wait. He was outside a cookie shop. You got to worry about being outside a cookie shop. Who was the other dude? I forget what his name was. He was in a Waffle House or something. He was eating waffles and people ran up in there trying to take his chain and he didn't give up his chain and got killed. Rappers getting shot up in their cars. What was it? Stack Bundles. There was a rapper, Fat Chinks or something, and he got shot on Queens Boulevard. He was in his car, and you got people running up on you and carjacking. Roosevelt Field Mall today, I believe. Woman was getting out of the mall and getting into her Lamborghini Urus. The story's in the news. Roosevelt Field Mall, Long Island. And these dudes ran up on her, basically forced her to the ground, and stole her Lamborghini Urus. So you got to work. You can't even have nothing nice here. And this was a woman, by the way, not even a man. So let me tell you something. The countries that I go to, they oppress their citizens. Those governments oppress their citizens so well. The countries I go to, because I don't go to these random countries like in South America where they have unstable governments and shit. No, I go to countries where the oppression is so high that I don't have to worry about nothing as a tourist, because if somebody even looks at me wrong, their own people going to do something to them. I was in Dominican Republic. I'm not going to rant about this too long. I was in Dominican Republic. I had the iPhone... what year? This was 2011, so I believe it was the iPhone 4S, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm standing on the corner, and I'm in the middle. I was like, we came from Puerto Plata, and I was somewhere. It was like in the middle of the street. I was just standing around, walking around. And I'm taking pictures with my iPhone, right? So I got the iPhone 4S. And back then, if you were in Dominican Republic, the only thing anybody's got is Blackberries. That was all that I saw is Blackberries. That's all they had. So I'm standing on the corner, and two military cops, one of them, I'll never forget this, dude had an AK-47, and the other dude had a semi-auto pump shotgun, 12 gauge at least. So both of them walk up to the sides of me, and they're standing next to me. And they're like, just standing there. And I'm scared as fuck because I'm like, yo, these dudes are armed to the teeth. And immediately I'm like, you know what? They're there because I've got this phone. That phone may have been worth maybe $600 or $700 here in America, but down there, that phone could have been worth $1,000, $2,000 because it's hard to get that stuff down there. Now you just think about that. If somebody was willing to run up on me and try to snatch my phone, they were ready to put holes in their back. Just think about that. Over a phone, over an iPhone 4S, you could have gotten blown away. Just think about that. And they were standing there for my protection. They were waiting there with me right up until my cab came, and then they left. And that was it. But why do I say all this? I'm saying all that to understand this. When you go abroad, whether you're a passport bro or you call yourself a passport sis or fee-fail or whatever it is, you going abroad, you got to act right. And I know how to act right. I've survived in some of the hottest spots, the countries that this country... If I was in Russia, I wouldn't have had a single problem. Brittany Griner got locked up for months. If I was in Russia, everything would be good. Everybody would be comrades and dovrish. I'd be saluting Ivan Danko. I'd be saluting him. I'd be like, Dobar Dan, or Dobar Utra, or I'd be just saluting him. Yes, Dovrish, yes, and comrade, yes. No problems. Meanwhile, you got these modern feminists going over there, and they think that they can get away with the bullshit that they run here. They think they can do that overseas and get locked up every single time. Every single time. They can't do nothing. They can't go nowhere. And you know what? And I feel bad for men right here because that has to be on the back of their mind. They're like, what if she starts acting up and she gets me in trouble? Do you know how many men have been killed because their woman that they're with decides that she's going to act up and get loud? And the next thing you know, she puts him in a situation that is either violent or dangerous just because she can't keep her fucking mouth shut or can't control herself. So now in this case, you got two of them can't control themselves, attacking. Because I'm giving the salon the benefit of the doubt. I'm not giving these women the benefit of the doubt because I know what they do. Attacking this salon people. Even if these people overcharged you, all you had to do was call the authorities and maintain calm. But they're not calm. They're not calm. They're not graceful. They're not conscientious. None of that. It's just me, 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 me. Everything's about me. What is that called? Entitlement? So all I'm saying is this. And granted, listen, and I gotta say, these dudes who keep going down to South America, it's like it really bothers me when these dudes go down to South America because every now and then one of them gets killed. There was a dude who was robbed for a chain and he tried to fight back. He got killed. Some of these dudes are getting drugged into stuff. Listen, the countries, like you can always say, oh yeah, well you passport, bro, you're gonna get drugged when you go to a country. Listen, just like I was telling the story about what happens if somebody tries to assault you. The countries that I go to, drugs are so illegal that if you get caught with a certain amount of drugs, you get executed. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, and they hung a chick for carrying a certain amount of drugs. Hanged her. I'm supposed to say hanged. Clothes are hung. People are hanged. She was hanged for carrying a certain amount of drugs. So when I go to these countries, I ain't worried about nobody drugging me because, first of all, if they're living on the edge to the point where their life is in danger from their own government to just have a certain amount of drugs on them, I ain't worried about them because they ain't going to do nothing to me. Because to do something to me carries a death sentence. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I go overseas, I am very respectful, very cordial. I hold the door open for everybody. Fuck it. It's like, oh yes, hi, how you doing? Oh, would you? And I hold the door open for. They want to jump. So if you're in Japan, because I'm about to go to Haneda, on the ANA, the Japanese women don't want you to hold the door open for them because they feel that that's disrespectful of you as a man. They will rush ahead of you to get the door. There was a Japanese chick, I'll never forget, this Japanese chick, she was the elevator operator. And she's just waving her hand and she's like, yes, oh, no, you go. And they don't let you do nothing for them because as far as they're concerned, you're the man and you're not supposed to do that stuff for them. And that's like, that's she's basically saying, I'm not going to let you humble yourself because that's disrespectful to you, and disrespectful to you is disrespectful to me. Like, I don't even understand that, but that's what they do. So all I'm saying is this. When I go to their countries, I am extremely cordial and conscientious. I smile, happy. Yes, hi, how are you? Hello, thank you, goodbye. Oh no, you try to overcharge me. You try to overcharge me. Oh no, you ain't gonna hold me hostage. No, none of that shit. Cause I ain't spending no time in none of these cells overseas. I ain't spending no time in no cell. No. So bottom line is, I don't know what it's gonna take for these quote unquote modern women, because that's the code word basically. You know what we're talking about. These modern women. I don't know what it's going to take for them to understand that nobody's tolerating this bullshit. When they start that entitlement nonsense, they start getting loud, I'm pretty sure that, the police over there, they probably radio ahead and they like, yeah, get the cell ready because we got one coming. We got a hot one coming for the cell. And they get a cot and they get it ready for you. So that as soon as you come in there, you and your weave can spend your time laying up on the floor because they're not playing. They're not playing. I don't know what it's going to take. And the crazy thing is, I don't even know, besides me, who's going to carry this story. I don't know if anybody's going to even hear this story besides me reporting on it. Because the thing about it is this stuff, these embarrassing stories, this stuff doesn't even get reported on. You don't see this on national news until They get Al Sharpton to, oh yeah, well they racist, yeah, they racist, yeah, they racist. It's like, no, they weren't. No, you fucked up in their country and you paid the price. It's like they didn't do.
Let me tell you something. No, let me tell you something. I tried to be reasonable. Y'all, I asked you several times. Let me outside. And now it's time to get money. You don't know what I'm going outside for. Why were you trying to hold me hostage?
Lah, aku di video aja.
Did I get any service done?
Video lain.
No. Listen to me. Did I get any service done? Did I get any service done? No. Don't say okay. Don't say okay. Don't say okay. And you don't know what I went outside for, right? The person who had service was still inside. There was no reason that this door was blocked from my exit. So what do you want right now? What do I want?
I am the biggest black man that you can imagine. And I go over to these countries and I have nothing but good to report. Nothing but good to report. I was in Dubai, nothing. But I was in the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Al Arab, the Dubai Mall. Nothing but good to report. Y'all go over there. Oh, yeah, you can't be touching me. You can't be touching me. The next thing you know, you in a cell. Like, I go over there. I'm on the Emirates, 35,000 feet on the A380, sipping champagne, feet up, watching Star Wars. I made videos. Not a single problem. You go over there. Oh, no, why are you touching me? You can't touch me. What are you doing? You can't touch me. I ain't going. I just don't get it. I don't get it. But the bottom line is, I don't know how far this story is going to get. I don't know how many people are going to see this story. I don't know if it's going to make national news. I'm going to have my ear. I'm going to be listening for it. But you're going to learn today.